Shalom Akim, all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Kakadash, the belongs to the Apostle Great Millstone. Citation to you, Akim, doing the work of truth and sincerity. This is the copyright disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for the purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by the copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit educational or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. That said, this is 2 Timothy 2 and 14. Of these things, put them in remembrance, charging them before the Lord that they strive not about words to no profit, but to the subverting of the hearers. Study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth, but shun profane and vain babblings, for they will increase unto more ungodliness. And with that read, and this is the reason I read it, I'm gonna play a portion of this video. I've already read the copyright disclaimer, and you see the title of it: Jews in shock after finding out they're not the true Jewish, because this is the shocking truth. Now, there's a couple things even in the title saying the true Jewish. There's really no such thing as Jewish. That was a term made up for the Israelis, the modern day Jews or Jewish people. The term Jewish is basically a term to try to hijack the identity of the true Israelites. Now, I'm gonna play this portion of this video of Know Nothing Jenkins, or about the Smoke Perkins, or whatever you want to call this bald-headed pastor. But he's going off, and this is why I read that 2 Timothy, because study is important. So just listen to what he says, and then I'll go into the studying portion.
There's a difference between the words Shemite versus Semite. What's the difference? The difference is this. The term Shemite represents an Israelite of the original Hebrews who were black, or men and women of color. And I'm making this a black and white discussion today. Abraham, father, Ham
Now, yeah, I played his part because look, if you're in the Christian church, you would just listen to that babble and not do no studying and just believe the bullshit. And he said that Abraham means Hamitic and all types of other bullshit, you know. But that's what you get in the Christian church most of the time because they really don't do no real studying, and I give him this much. At least he know who came up with the term Semite. You know, he's right about this author von Lugswick dude. You know, this guy, he's a German, and he actually coined the term Semite, which actually does mean Shem. You know, because I typed in both of the terms, typed in an etymology online, Semite, and as you can see, and look, anytime you see this, a Jew, that is a hijack. That is trying to claim the narrative, you know. But anyway, 1847, a Jew, Arab, Assyrian, or Armenian, and apparently isolated use from 1797, refers to the Semitic language group. So that's what Semite is supposed to mean, you know. And of course, I typed in Shemite, and guess what? They didn't even put it in there. They didn't put Shemite as a term in online etymology, even though Shem is actually in the Bible, you know, which is the exact same, you know, meaning or definition. And of course, when you look up this definition, it does tell you that Schlosser is the one that first used this term. And then somebody else named Eckhorn argues that he used it first. But actually, Schlosser in his article in one of Eckhorn's repertoriums, he used it first. So Schlosser used it first, you know. And that's where he gets that from. So he did that much studying. And he's correct on the Israeli Israelite thing. But, you know, using all these puffed up words, he tripped all over himself. You know, not every Hebrew is not every Jew is a Hebrew, but every Hebrew is a Jew. No, man. Stop trying to use all that fancy bullshit. Just tell the whole truth, man. If you're a Hebrew and if you're a Hebrew, that don't mean you a Jew. Cause not every Hebrew is an Israelite, man. So, hey, look, he tripped over himself several times, but the things that he did get correct, and this is why you have to actually study, man, instead of just listening to, you know, pimp pastors and shit like that, man. They have you all fucked up. They have you thinking that Abraham birthed Ham, man, because it's got Ham in his name and shit, man. No, there are three sons that populated the world, which is Ham, Shem, and Japheth, or Shem, Japheth, and Ham. Shem, the oldest brother, Japheth, the second brother, Ham, the youngest brother. And of course, out of Ham came the Canaanites, because not all of the seed of Ham is cursed. Only Canaan, which would be known as the South Africans today. So yeah, and you know, listening to his babbling will basically just have you tripped up, and that's why I read the scriptures first, which I'll read again. 2 Timothy 2 and 14. Of these things put them in remembrance, charging them before the Lord that they strive not about words to no profit, but to the subverting of the hearers. Study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth, but shun profane and vain babblings, for they will increase unto more ungodliness. And what he was basically saying was a lot of vain babblings, man. Profane and vain babblings. Look, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is the line of the Israelites. And yes, because I brought this out many times about the Israeli and the Jew thing. You know, the Israeli, a citizen of the state of Israel from 1948. 1948 from Israel. And they use their words very carefully. The state of Israel. The created state of 1948 of Israel. That's what an Israeli is. And of course, it distinguishes the citizens of the modern state from the ancient people who had been known in the English since the 14th century Israelites. They know exactly what they're saying and they know exactly how they frame this wording. But then when you look at Israelite, what's the first thing it says? A Jew. That's why you got to watch out for that term. Any term that starts a definition off with a Jew, that's the hijack. That's them trying to control the narrative. Now, is the tribe of Judah one of the sons of Israel? Yeah. But you don't just put a Jew. That's bullshit. That's them trying to control the narrative. All they had to say is one of the people of the ancient Israel, a descendant of Israel or Jacob. Because Jacob or Yaquab's name was changed to Yasher Allah, which they, in the English translated as Israel. So, one of the descendants of Israel or Jacob. That's it. And the descendants, he had 12 descendants, which we know as the 12 tribes of Israel today. Those are the true Israelites. Matter of fact, let's go a little further and look that up. Let's see. 12 tribes of Israel. And when you look it up, matter of fact, I should have just put in 12 tribes sign. This is good right here. The 12 tribes of Israel also reflect the names of the 12 sons of Israel. Judah, which are known as the so-called American blacks. Benjamin, the West Indies or Jamaicans. Levi, the Haitians. Ephraim, the Puerto Ricans. Manasseh, the Cubans. Simeon, the Dominicans. Zebulon, the Guatemalans to Panamanians. Gad, the American Indians. Reuben, the Seminole Indians. Asher, the Colombians to the Uruguayans. Issachar, the so-called Mexicans. And Naphtali, the so-called Argentinians and Chileans. These are the names of the sons of Israel, man. And actually, he actually had the son Dan. However, me, just using extrapolation, I would say Dan would be Manasseh because Ephraim is Joseph. Or Ephraim, they refer to the scriptures in as Joseph as being Ephraim. But Ephraim is actually the tribe name. And of course, Dan is not in this list. He's spread among the children of Israel. I believe he's actually Manasseh. But that's me speaking as a man. Because when you read the scriptures and you know the story, Joseph had 2 sons and they both got the blessings. So, but anyway, that's another lesson for another day. I just say that as extrapolations, how I come up with that. But that don't mean you got to believe it in anything. Just study to show yourself approved. But that's why we say that. From the apostles, we learn it all the way down to, the other men. Study to show yourself approved. Look up words, man. If somebody says something, make sure you go back and study it. Make sure it's true. Like I said, the dude is a bug out, of course. But some of the stuff he said was right. like the von Ludwig German, the Ludwig von Schlosser dude. Yeah, he coined the term Shemite. But when you look up the anti-word, it just means anybody against the Jews, roughly speaking. And you don't have to believe me, look it up. You know? So when you hear, people who saying stuff, man, hey, don't just take them at face value. Look it up, man. Look up words, look up definitions. You know, don't be a nunkhead out there, man. Don't be an idiot out there. If you don't know something, look it up. That is one of the tools to studying. You don't know the meaning of nothing, hey, because most of y'all don't be knowing the meaning of words. Go look it up. It's nothing to be ashamed of being ignorant. It is something to be ashamed of if you staying ignorant. Willfully ignorant. But yeah, since I was watching this video to see what it's about, and this guy come up using the pastor's dialect, it's like, come on, man. But this is why you Christians and you Christians and all her dominations are so bugged out, and you never look this stuff up. Here it is: the Israelites are on the street corners telling you the whole truth and giving you the references to know that it's the truth, but you don't believe that. Not that it was meant for you to anyway. But this is just a video to just look, study, prove every man. What the Apostle Tahar always talking about: be like the Church of Berea. If you told them something, they'll go look it up. And one of the most excellent tools in this truth is looking up words. But anyway, with that, say all praise and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. Salutation to you, Akim, doing the work in truth and sincerity. Till the next time, Shalom.